Hey Quench crew, what if you walked out of your Mexican residency appointment with a denial? Womp womp. Most people would think that the dream is over. But what if we told you that getting denied at one Mexican consulate doesn't automatically mean that you're denied everywhere? We've heard story after story about people that have the same financial situation, the same financial background, but have very different outcomes and different experiences depending on where they apply. So that's what we're talking about, that before you give up hope, that getting denied at a Mexican residency is not the end, it's just a pause, and we're gonna really talk about what a denial really means and what your options may be. Hi, I'm Lynn.
Hi, I'm Jace.
And welcome to our channel,
GenX
Quench. And we're happy to have you here. If you like what you're hearing, give us a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So, denial at a Mexican consulate. This actually just kind of came to light because on our last video that we did, we talked about perhaps one of the most important decisions in your Mexican residency journey is the consulate that you pick. So this is just to piggyback to that conversation. Go back and look at it if you haven't already. But what happens if you end up with a denial after your Mexican consulate appointment? Jace?
So, if you're denied, we obviously understand you're going to have an emotional reaction.
Yep.
You may feel embarrassed, feel like a failure, experience some confusion, or feel that you're unqualified for whatever reason. But don't fret. Obviously, the consulate officials have a lot of discretion, and they can interpret rules differently. So don't fret. A delay is not necessarily a deny. Just keep at your goal and you will eventually get approved if you stay the course.
That's right. Yeah. Don't give up hope. Don't, have your moment if you get the denial because it's so much work. But not all denials are created equal.
Right.
They all don't mean the same thing. So in most cases, it may be documentation issues. So maybe you're missing statements, you have the wrong copies, your paperwork isn't complete, and it also could be a timing problem. So your statements don't cover enough months. I think for most, it's probably 12 months, maybe some might be 6. Yep. Maybe you've had some funds that have moved recently, so therefore it kind of shifted the clock and that, you had X months of this level and then X months of this level, and the person looking at it is not comfortable with that. Right. It could be qualification issues, that your income or your assets are below the stated range for that consulate's requirements. And then even probably most important, consulate specific requirements that different consulates interpret investments differently. They count retirement income or even your self-employment income differently, and they view assets differently. So consulates have their discretion and your experiences may vary. So not all denials mean the same thing, and you can get denied for a variety of reasons.
One consulate may say, okay, you've got enough in your 401k, but you're not actually using it yet. So one consulate may approve that, another may not. So that's why consulate shopping is so important, like we mentioned on our last video.
Right,
Yep.
right.
And I would also say, next, don't argue with the official at the consulate. If you get denied, be very polite, be humble, ask clarifying questions, keep an even tone, because the way you react, oftentimes it could lead to the person giving you a break. And let me give you an example. If, for instance, maybe you didn't get your bank statements notarized and that particular one wants it notarized, and they say, really, the only thing you were missing was notarized bank statements. In fact, there's a local branch right around the corner. Why don't you go there for the next 2 hours? And if you come back by 2 o'clock, I'll look at it again and approve you. So the way you react and behave towards people could have a favorable outcome that same day.
Right, yeah. You might find somebody that if you're nice to them, they'll be like, okay, here's a cheat code. Just go down the street, tell them I sent you, go do this and come back here and come back before 3 o'clock. We can make this happen.
Right.
If you're mean to them, they'd be like, okay, next.
Right.
So you also, just figure out why you were denied. If it was the paperwork, like we just mentioned, that's probably an easy fix. Is it financial? That might be a timing issue. But at least you know what you need to work for. Maybe you need 1 more month or 2 more months worth of statements. And so it's like, okay, let me get that time. Let me keep everything even keel and then just update everything and come back. Was it a misunderstanding? Maybe you had everything that you really needed and every I was dotted and every T was crossed. And so then it might be like, let me take this whole package and go find another consulate.
Right.
Because it may just be that I've got everything and that person just didn't approve me for some reason. And then also double check, did the requirements change? So before you go, stay informed. Before you may schedule that appointment a month in advance, but it doesn't hurt. Check the websites, make sure that there haven't been any requirements or updates in the last few weeks.
Yeah, the good news is you can apply somewhere else if you get denied, and you could even go back to the same consulate if they give you the information you need to correct whatever prevented you from getting it.
Right.
So there's no single nationwide answer to everything. They're their own little fiefdoms and they're independent decision makers. So it's not one size fits all. Consulates operate with a lot of discretion. Again, they operate like they're their own jurisdiction. So find the consulate that fits your specific situation. And interpretations can vary by consulate. So that's why I think being part of Facebook groups or talking to other folks who've recently gone is so crucial, because they can give you kind of on the ground, most recent information, what's going on at that particular consulate close to the time that you're going.
Right. I mean, some of them even get so specific about the lady at the window on the left, you want her, or the man, or his name is so-and-so. Right. If they can get that specific as far as like they were a pleasure to work with and that type of thing. So I think when you were talking about like each one operating independently, there's also like no national database that we're aware of.
No.
So if you go in and you spend that time and you get denied, it's not like somebody at another consulate can look you up and see your system and find out kind of your background. So that gives a little bit more ease and comfort that every time you do it, it's kind of an independent action.
Yep.
And so if we got denied, what we would do is, one, understand why you were denied, and we've talked about that. Two, talk with the residency experts, get in those Facebook groups, YouTube videos, people that have done recent applications. Selfish plug, have a consultation with us. We can help you, ease your fears. Three, research current experiences, and I think that's kind of looking at what's going on in the consulates and in your area, and have there been any changes recently? And then, choose your next consulate carefully, realizing that it may be the same one. If you feel like if they told you, if it was favorable, if it was a good experience, and it really was just on you that you needed a month, then go back to the same consulate. If it was a consulate specific issue, then you may want to look for someplace else. And then prepare stronger documentation potentially. Jice and I talked about that, is that when we went to our appointment, he had like a binder that was this thick. Now they only needed that much of it, but he over prepared. We had extra statements. You had
name change forms, one and the same name forms. I had a printout from my benefits book at work showing that I could retire at 55. So if they asked the question, why are you going to Mexico? Hey, I want to retire. It shows at 55 I can retire. In case they ask, they didn't ask for it, but I had it.
Right. So I think that's the thing, is just make sure all your documents are tight, and then it doesn't hurt to have another letter, another notary, an extra month, an extra set of copies, whatever it is. So I would say that after denial, go that extra mile and prepare and over prepare.
Yeah. Another one was if you were getting temporary residency, a thing they like at a lot of consulates are a letter from your employer saying you can work from anywhere. Basically, like you have a remote or virtual job. So that's something you may want to have on hand as well. But sometimes, this leads into the next topic, sometimes waiting is really your best strategy. For instance, if you don't have quite enough on your investments, or your portfolio dips because the market went crazy, make sure you take another couple of months to have well above that amount, so you're not fretting that. You may need more statement history. Maybe you brought 6 months, you needed 12. So that's something you can collect. You need your retirement income to actually begin, or your Social Security to turn on, so you can get the letter from the Social Security Institute. So those are just different things you may want to wait on. I've seen other cases where people didn't have enough in investments, and literally they knew they were going to Mexico. So what they did is, if they owned a home, they sold it, and now they were flush with funds. So they waited the 12 months, kept the money in the savings account, and then came back to the U.S. To get residency. But they just moved to Mexico. They were flush full of cash, but that's something I've seen too.
I think it's just being intentional with time, because it's kind of a delicate balance. You know, if you get denied and you know that there's a window for you to meet the requirements, then use that time, but don't delay, because concurrently
Right.
requirements may be changing.
Yes.
So it's kind of like, hopefully all of this thing can happen in the same year,
Right.
because, okay, you do it and say, okay, I'm going to hit this next year and I'm going to have this amount. And then January comes around and the requirements have changed.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, now I'm short. Now I got, the clock keeps ticking. So be mindful of the time, because timing is so important, but, be ready to move when you have hit those milestones that you're looking for.
Right.
And so, as we're bringing this to a close, don't let one no define you. We've seen people that were denied once and then they later come back and they get the residency. I mean, sometimes that denial really can be a same day thing. It's like, no, do this and come back today, or do this and come back tomorrow. Sometimes people need more months and that type of thing, but the no does not define you. And, then we also don't want to scare anybody, because we've seen lots of people, present company included, that, we prepare, you make the appointment, we go in, it's a pleasant experience, and we come out with an approval. So we just wanted to take a little bit of time and do a deeper dive into what a denial means. Is that, it's not the end of the world. It's just really find out why you were denied and then address that and fix that. Ideally at the same consulate, but it could mean that you may have to go somewhere else.
Yeah. And lastly, tell us your story. If you were denied and then approved, leave a comment. We'd love to hear. And what consulates were you denied or approved in? That would be helpful for us. And then if you have any other questions on Mexican residency, watch our playlist on Mexican residency. I think there's a lot of good information in that. So check us out.
Yep, we're happy to help. And with that, give us again a like. Share this with somebody that might be considering Mexican residency. It's also good that this video is for people that maybe haven't gotten denied, but you're thinking about the process, so that you actually know the pitfalls and the potholes that might be on the journey. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and become a part of the Quench crew. We really appreciate having you here. And with that, anything else?
Nothing else.
All right, we'll see you on the next GenX Quench video.
Hasta
Adios.
luego.
Bye-bye.